Hey there guys, how's it going? My name is Suman Chatterjee from the Flow Zone Academy and I'm a flow state coach, which means that I help you feel better and perform better. Today I want to speak to you guys about how I got into rapping or hip hop. So basically, as you can see, my hat here says Scripts. Now Scripts was originally my rap name, and now Scripts wasn't always Scripts, it evolved, okay? I had a slew of different rap names before that. I remember once it started out as Comic Kaiser. I loved comics. Then it became Venomous. Then it became Ohm Mega, like Ohm. Then I started to really delve into my own culture and heritage, and I wanted to be something related to that, so it became Sanskrit. And then it became Sanskrits. And Sanskrit is like the Latin of India, right, in a sense. But then I recognized that I was always really interested in theater and psychology. And so learning the mental scripts and knowing about scripts, they were like the formula towards acting out what you needed to in a play. That was a huge influence for me in terms of my own personal growth and a lot of different aspects of my life. As you know, my book TPM is all about theater and using the power of theater to change your mindset, to change your behavior. So Scripts was almost like an alter ego to me. And it became, well, it was MC Scripts to begin with. And then I cut the MC off. I lost the old school act and I got into Scripts. So Scripts was all about this idea of me going against the norm. Sanskrits, actually, I used to do a lot of freestyle rap, so Sanskrits became a concept for me where I was like, okay, I'm going against the script or without a script. Essentially, I'm improvising. But then I recognized that, why not become the thing that I most. But then I thought about what about the oxymoron? What about the paradox in that? In the fact that, I'm calling myself Scripts, but I don't go by a script at all. I'm very free flowing in a sense. And you'll notice this kind of juxtaposition with me with paradox, a lot of paradox there. One of my songs also being called Paradox. And you'll notice a lot of the themes of my music delving into spirituality, self development, and these concepts, as well as, it has a sexual edge, as well as a very refined, multi-syllabic, and its very stylistic edge. So, as an artist, I grew, I evolved, I took on different personas. And so I thought Scripts was the best one. It just stuck throughout time, and that's the one that I chose. How did I get into rapping? I remember watching 8 Mile when I was like 9 years old or so. And from then on, I was just inspired by the fact that you could battle someone using your lyricism and using your words. I hadn't ever considered that factor. I heard every single insult for an Indian rapper known to man during that time. I do remember that. And I used to do a lot of text battling online. That's where I first began. So I watched 8 Mile. I got inspired by that movie where Eminem was just like, really embodying this character of being able to verbally outwit the opponent. And I was in a very boyish, competitive mindset of like, I want to prove myself. I want to prove my worth. I want to go out there. I want to show people that this is the way it is to be done. And so I joined online hip hop forums and text battling. I remember HHE was one of them, Hip Hop Effect. I don't know if these forums still exist. HHE was one of them, and then I remember joining this online virtual hotel called Habbo Hotel. I don't know if you guys know about this, but basically you can buy and create your own furniture, your own space. It's basically like almost like Sims, but for a hotel. If you look this game up, you can still play it. It's quite funny. It's quite fun actually to interact with others online. And so we would have all these rap battles and set up rap battles in different rooms. And I was known through these different usernames, Omega, and then I went on to Scripts eventually. And man, it was just such an exciting time, because I was really delving into myself. This was like 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. I just started to evolve my style. At first, I didn't have a very deep voice, right? I had a very high pitched voice when I first began. I was still recording on SoundClick. Okay, this is way old school. I was recording on SoundClick using Audacity was the program, and I would use like a little clip-on mic with the worst quality ever. And you can still find some of my music, I'm sure, out there. And it still had this depth of lyricism, and I got really obsessed with like underground and like going into the lyrics and decoding the lyrics and really getting into that, right? I was very into the lyricism and not the delivery or any of that. Now, throughout my time, I started to evolve my practice and really get into different kinds of music, and I got interested in just melody in general. I think I always had that within me. My grandfather was a big influence to me growing up. He was very musical. He used to play the a harmonium. Harmonium is like you have these keys and then you have like an accordion thing on the side that you press for air, and then it's a very Indian instrument, right? And he used to sing. I remember growing up, and I used to listen to him sing and get all these ideas and insights from him. Rest in peace, granddad, because like used to call him Takuda, which means like God, Father in a sense. Okay, God Dad, Godfather, which is kind of cool to think about that in the Bengali translation. So I originally come from Calcutta in West Bengal, India, right? For the people wondering, watching. Um, and, I believe that rap was a way for me to ground myself. It was a way for me to connect with my roots and connect with the earth. It's a very primal thing, right? It's coming from the African American heritage where the people are very grounded people, right? However, at the same time, I had this very spacious way of thinking about things, and I was never conscious or woke with my music until I went through many awakenings, you could say, or many ascensions throughout my life. I went through 3 so far in my life, really big shifts that completely transcended me and who I thought I was. And those were also a big impact into my music and how it evolved over time. From experimental tracks to a lot more grounded, energetic, upbeat tracks to even now I like to just stretch my boundary. As you guys know, like I just recently released Good Vibes, which is a Afro beats track in a sense. So I always want to just push the boundary of music and really understand like what else is there for me to explore and do. And I think that's what makes an artist is that explorer quality of exploring not just in music but exploring life in general, being an adventurer. Now, of course, I traveled a lot of my life. You guys know that growing up, I lived in Switzerland, Thailand, US for 4 years, like a year in London. So that experience, and also in between, I went to Greece and like all these different countries too. Throughout that experience of traveling, it really expanded my mind. You know how they say travel expands your mind? This is what it did to me. And so my style evolved throughout every single location that I was in, and my style of fashion, right? Hip hop isn't just the rap, right? Rap stands for rhythm and poetry, by the way. So I've always known it that I was a poet. Because Calcutta, or Kolkata as it's now known, is known for its poetry. So I believe that it's just always been in my blood, but throughout time, listening to different artists and really getting into this kind of music, first initially, you know, that first spur or sporadic moment from Eminem and understanding all these deep, complex vocabularies that he used to use. And I just loved words from then on and the power of the English language, right? Not writing but speaking, I knew it. I had an intelligence when it came to linguistics, multisyllabics, personals, all this kind of stuff, right? And I just delved deep into it. It was interesting to me. That's what I liked doing. Other kids were like playing video games and stuff like that. I was writing bars straight up. And, who are some of my influences? Man, I think my influences shifted over time. So I was even interested by some spoken word, esoteric type of artists like Milo the rapper, when I went to college. But Also, J. Cole is a big influence of me. Chance the Rapper, Childish Gambino, even artists like Lil Yachty, like the new wave music of like Lil Mosey, Lil Yachty, like that kind of auto tune ring and that melodic music hit me on a different level, I think. And it wasn't so much the lyrics in that case, but it was something in the tone and in the vibration of hearing that. Drake was a big influence on me. I don't know if it was his Scorpio nature, but there was something about that softness with the hardness. It was like the yin yang approach to his music because he was very, like, his music was vulnerable, right? And a lot of people associate vulnerability to weakness, and people hadn't really seen that in the hip hop community, right? However, there was this idea of like, man, I have this hard edge and this sharpness and this strength to my music. There's this masculine yang to my music, but then there's also this soft quality to it. And I think that that's what truly helped me to find the harmony because I've always had this remix mindset, right? It's like, let me take a little bit of this, a little bit of that, and let me mix it all together like a sampler would in my own mind and see what I can bring to this. Getting inspired by different ad libs, skr skr. When Made in Tokyo had the whole skr skr, that track, I immediately, like, something just hit me in that moment. I was like, skr skr, like, wow, how can I use that in my tracks now? I get inspired when I hear something like that. When I hear a sound, when I hear something in a different way, in a different perspective, I just want to extract that like a poisonous dart and just put it into my music in some way. And finding the elements of humor as well was a huge impact for me, like just being able to be funny and humorous in my tracks. And to this day, I just get so inspired by different artists, different genres, different music, different elements of everything. And I try and just bring my own flavor to it. And I hope you guys enjoy my music. You can find it on SoundCloud, SoundCloud dash scripts, that's S. This is how it's spelled, right? -1. So check out my latest tracks. I'm actually dropping a track this winter solstice, okay? It's the 21st, so the great conjecture, all right? So let's see what happens in that time. They're supposed to say that, Rome toppled over the last time that this thing happened, so who knows what's going to happen, right? I think it's generally going to be good versus evil at this time, Jedi versus Sith. If you haven't joined the Telegram group, Flow Jedis, I highly recommend you do so. Let's get talking. Let's get you into this Flow tribe. There's a lot of interesting people out there. Recently, I added Coley, and she was telling us about gene keys, and I've now looked into gene keys. Fascinating, fascinating stuff. Every single day we're doing new tasks, transcending different paradigms, and I would love it if you could join us. Having said that, have an amazing day. May the flow be with you and stay legendary. See you next time.